Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's episode of Ask the Expert. I'm calling it today because today I am flying solo because Dave is away at a wedding. So he can't be here to join me. So it's just me tonight, hopefully answering all your questions. If you are watching, please give me a hello in the comments so I know it's not just me talking to myself this evening. Hope you've all had a great summer. Hope you've been away somewhere nice. The weather's not been too bad in the UK. I've managed a couple of trips away with the family, and we've been to France, and we've just come back from Spain, where we went out to where we run our Adventure Spain trip. So we've had 10 days out there being adventurous out there. It's been quite nice. So yeah, hopefully you've managed to get away as well. So what's the idea of this show? Idea of the Ask the Expert show is that if you've got any questions on any of our trips, this is your opportunity to hopefully get them answered. That's whether you've booked on one of the trips already or whether you are thinking of booking onto one of the trips. Then, you know, it might be, you know, which trip do you recommend? It might be which is a good one to start with. It might be I'm thinking of doing this one. Which route should I do? And hopefully I can answer those questions for you. Couple of things before we get into that. New episode of the podcast came out today. I'm hoping my able assistant Tom is watching this as we speak, and he will be putting some links up as well. So this week's episode was a great episode where I was chatting with a lady who has done the 7 summits, amongst other things as well. So it's a great episode this week. And obviously there's been another 3 or 4 episodes since the last time I was here as well doing one of these sessions. So if you're not a regular listener to the podcast, then get on it. And like I say, hopefully Tom will put a link up to the podcast in a second. There it is, as it's popping up as I speak. So you can go and have a listen, whichever, whether you're an Apple or a Spotify user, the podcast is on all of them. So go and have a listen. Few hellos. I've had a hello from Silas, who's watching on Instagram. I've got Chris, who's watching in Spain. So watching live at the minute. So hello to you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And like I say, if you have got any questions on any of our trips, do put them in the comments, and I will answer them as we go. And as Silas has already jumped in on Instagram with a question, I will I don't even know if I want to read this one, so I've just seen the word nappies. I haven't even read it yet. I shall kick off with the first question. On the Spanish adventure, if there are any activities you really don't fancy, and then in brackets, RAB don't sell nappies for climbing, are there any alternatives you can do on those days? There are always alternatives you can look to do in the area. But the one thing that I will say about the Spanish adventure trip is that the activities are, you can start off, and we start off at a very basic level, and depending on how much you want to do, we can kind of progress it on there. So for some people on those sorts of trips, taking your, even going up a little way climbing if you don't want to go climbing, or, doing the first part of the Via Ferrata, then we get you off it. For those people, that's an achievement in itself, and that's what adventure's all about. Like, not everybody has to be crazy and extreme. These trips, we try and design them so they are for everybody, and there is something that you can do. Obviously, we want to push you out of your comfort zone a little bit, but yeah, it's entirely up to you, how much or how little you do. So yeah, there are alternatives, but my advice to you would be to give it a go. You can get involved with the rest of the group. We can teach people to belay so they can stand at the bottom and help other people. So yeah, there'll be something there for you to do, Silas. Don't worry, and you don't need to worry about the nappies either. I think you'll be perfectly fine. Another question. Thank you for the recent podcast on K2 Basecamp. I will need to purchase a new jacket for K2 Basecamp next July, but there are so many options. How do I choose the right down jacket to ensure that I stay warm? Well, that was a great podcast. I love speaking to Jemima. If you haven't listened to the K2 one yet, go onto the podcast and listen to that one, because Jemima talks about it with so much enthusiasm. It will make you want to add K2 to your bucket lists, I imagine. But in terms of down jackets, now this is always a difficult one, because like you've said, there are so many different down jackets and so many different options. My advice to people is to layering is so important when you're away on any of these types of trips. So quite often it's not about going and buying the thickest down jacket that's going to keep you warm, because the problem with that is it might be too warm. Like I've got one upstairs in my cupboard that I've had for 20 years. They still make it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a mountain equipment one, but it is just too warm for the majority of things. So I hardly ever wear it because it's just too thick. So you need to think about layering and what you can wear underneath it as well to add that warmth. So the jacket actually becomes multi-purpose, not just for K2, but for other trips and things as well. So my advice to you is not just to think about the down jacket, but to think about your layering system as a whole. And then think about which down jacket you might want to buy. Now, I never really recommend any down jackets because, there are completely different price points. People, want to spend different money. People are affiliated to different brands. People like to wear certain brands. So it's really, from my perspective, it's, what is going to keep you warm? How much fill do you need? And what are you going to be wearing over the top of it, underneath it? Because that's the other thing you need to consider, is that when you do get a down jacket, it's not going to be waterproof. So therefore your waterproof is going to need to fit over the top of it as well, potentially. And then likewise, what you're going to wear underneath it to be able to get the jacket over the top of. So that's kind of would be my advice, is to look into your layering system and then choose your jacket around what else you're going to wear. You know, some people just generally go really hot. Some people generally go, you know, are a lot of colder person. I generally don't need as much as other people. And, you know, I can get away with wearing less. Some people are a lot colder. But generally as well, like when you are cold, you need to think about your extremities, because that's where you are losing the heat from more than sort of your core. So making sure your head is covered, making sure your hands are covered, that will also help you feel warm as well. And obviously when you're walking, you generally don't feel the cold. It's when you're in camp in the evenings, and obviously because you're away for such a long time on a K2 trek, you know, you're not going to be able to take a lot of stuff with you in terms of the length you're going. So, you know, a layering system is really important where you can add and take away as you need to. So that would be my advice. There is a blog post on our website on down jackets for Everest Base Camp where we look at a few different jackets. That's a good place to start. So go and have a look at that. Go and have a look at that blog post, and I'm sure Tom will put a link up to that blog post in a minute as well, so you can go and have a look at that one. Ben says hello Ben. Ben has just led our training weekend for us, so those people who enjoyed a weekend on Exmoor with Ben, if you are watching, and Ben's also been on our scuba diving trip to Gozo a few times as well, which, as you've heard me mention, is one of my favorite trips. Like I said, if you have got any questions, do add them into the comments. I'm trying to follow the comments on both Facebook and Instagram at the minute, so if you do have any questions, do let me know. What's been happening in the world of bucket list since I last did one of these with Dave? Well, we've had quite a few trips out to Kilimanjaro. Again, I think we've had 3 trips out to Kilimanjaro since I last spoke to you. Obviously, our K2 group are back, but I think they had got to K2 base camp the day we did the last one of these. But we had 100% rate again on Kilimanjaro. Every one of our customers got to the summit of Kilimanjaro in the last 3 trips, which is, you know, incredible, really, that, you know, our success rate is still remaining to be so high. And I can only thank the guides out there for looking after our groups so well. And, you know, they are super supportive, and, you know, having the success rate we've got is just incredible. And then we've got some trips coming up and leaving pretty soon. We've got there is a Salcantay trip heading out very soon, and we've also got a Kilimanjaro group heading out very soon, and then I'm going to be heading out on the Tanzanian safari with a nice big group on that one as well. We've also got a Gozo group heading out next month. So yeah, lots of trips currently happening, and then obviously we're soon approaching Everest's, you know, Nepal season again. So, you know, that's going to be super busy for us as well. I've got some more questions coming in. Deborah has asked, what are your thoughts on altitude sickness tablets? I'm doing EBC in November. I have the tablets ready, but watching YouTube and reading posts, there's no definitive answer as whether to take them or not. I can't really give advice on that because I am not a doctor. But my thought, I'll let you know my thought process on it. You know, there is there is evidence to suggest that Diamox assists with your acclimatization. My view is that if you are spending all of that money to go on a trip, and there is something you can take that might assist you, then why would you not? The thing with Diamox is Diamox it's a preventative, not a cure. So you need to take Diamox all the way through the process of your acclimatization. Like once you've got to the top, you can stop taking it as you're on your way back down again. My advice as well is always take it before you go on the trip. So test it. So for 3 days, just try it and see if you get any of the side effects from it. So it is a diuretic, so you will be peeing an awful lot more, which will also mean that you then need to drink a lot more as well. And some people also get really bad tingling in the extremities, so fingers and toes, and some people find that really, really uncomfortable. I always suggest that you break the tablet in half and have half in the morning and half in the evening with food. And that just means then that you're not taking a full tablet at bedtime and then needing to get up all through the night to go to the toilet. You're kind of like splitting it out during the day. I've seen people as well go, oh, I'll put it in my bag and I'll take it if I need it. Well, that's not going to help you at that point. It's there to assist your acclimatization. So you need to start it right from the start of the trek. You can't get 5 days in, find you've got a headache, and then think, oh, I'm gonna start taking this now. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. If you've got it, why would you not? Why would you not try it? But yeah, I would certainly test it for 2-3 days before you fly out, and just make sure that you're not getting any of those side effects in a bad way, really. Someone else has Craig is messaged in saying, I am trekking Toopcal in September and I'm worrying about my fitness. I've been training as much as I can. 28k, is this sufficient? Yeah, I mean, obviously, as I always say to people, I say the same thing about Kili, I say the same thing about Toopcal, I say the same thing about Everest Base Camp. Like, I think that anyone who can put one foot in front of the other and walk could get up Toopcal. They could get to the top of Kilimanjaro. They could get to Everest Base Camp. The fitter you are, the more enjoyable it is going to be for you. I mean, you're not walking fast. So, you're not walking fast at all. So, you're not worried about speed walking. You need to, obviously, carrying a bag is really important because you're going to have weight on your back. A lot of people kind of forget that bit. Toopcal, walking down from Toopcal is a lot of people say is just as tough as walking up Toopcal. So really strengthening your core, your back, your legs, practice walking downhill. I always say to people, if you get a box, at the gym, you get a box, or you can get a box at home, and then just practice stepping down off it, and that you're weighted and have, weight on your back. Think you're going to be carrying 5, 6, 7 kilos on your back. That's the important thing, is just making sure that you have, that your body is fit as it can be, really. But, obviously walking at altitude is really difficult to replicate in the UK. The lack of oxygen is what affects people. And obviously it's very difficult to train for that, here in the UK. So, if you're as fit as you can be, as I always say, listen to this week's podcast, Craig, because Marta really talks about it, and we have a really good conversation around the mental and physical needs of climbing a mountain, and actually how a mountain is a lot more mental than it is physical. So, if you want to get to the top, if you're in as good a shape as you can be, then you'll have no issues whatsoever to go and do it. So good luck in September. With what you've been doing, I am sure you'll be fine. But if you can just get those legs as strong as they can be, and just remember, get ready for walking downhill as well, then that will be, a good start for you. Just a quick reminder that our awesome August campaign comes to an end at the end of August. So on Sunday at midnight, the discounts will come off the trips. So if you do have a trip in mind at the minute that you're thinking of booking, now is the time to get on and get it booked. There are some big discounts there on some of the trips as well. We've still got spaces on some trips towards the end of this year. If you still, looking at your holiday allowance, thinking, I can still fit a trip in, or we've got spaces at the start of next year as well. So make sure that you do head to the website, and Tom's just put a link in there for all the different destinations that we've got. Now August is always a really, really good time to get those trips booked. And if anyone's got any questions on any of the trips, obviously I'm here to answer those this evening. There are no other questions at the minute, but if I've got about another 5 minutes or so of time before I get to my 7 o'clock time limit on here. But if you have got any more, please do put them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer anything you've got today. While there's no other questions, I will give you some good news about what came into our office this week. And that was finally, if you can see that, we are now B Corp certified at the Bucket List Company. We're really, really pleased to have our B Corp. It's something that we've been going through the process for some time now. And it's a great process to go to. It's a really hard thing to actually try and get in terms of how much information they want about you and your business and what you're doing and how you look after your staff and how you look after your customers and how you look after your providers. And it's a real privilege when you look at other brands that have their B Corp certification as well. And it's, B Corp is all about becoming a better business. And you have to improve year on year to keep your B Corp recognition. And that's what we want to do in the work that we do with our local providers in country. That's only going to improve from our perspective with the help that we give them in the support. So we're super proud to have our B Corp certification. So that's my good bit of news for this week. Tom Lloyd's asked, how tough is the Best of Morocco trip? Tom, I think you will be fine. Our Best of Morocco trip is like I say, our best of trips are great trips for people that want to do some soft adventure stuff and get to see the best that those countries have to offer. And our Best of Morocco trip is a very nice, slow trip showing you all the best things that Morocco have. So, Tom, I am sure you'll be fine. Andrea said, well done on the B Corp. It's one of the ways I like to stick with companies and brands for lots of purchases, food, cosmetics. Yeah, I mean, there is a huge wave of corporations now who are getting their B Corps. And I know, a lot of people who only shop with B Corp companies. And obviously that's not the reason why we did it. But for us, it was about the process of going through it. But, when you look at the other companies that do have their B Corp and the work that they do to become a better business, it's kind of really nice from our perspective to have been awarded it as well. So we're super happy. And thanks, Silas, for your congratulations as well on Instagram for that one. Tom's been busy changing all of our website and everything today, so we can put our B Corp certification logo on there and show that we're a B Corp. So it's something that we're, as I've said, super proud of. So if anyone's got any other questions, now is the time to put them in the comments, because like I say, we are coming close to 7 o'clock and I don't want anyone to miss out. But if you do suddenly, if you're watching this and it's not live and you have a question, if you put it in the comments, the team will still pick up on that. Someone's just put, wow, you wear your Namche t-shirt. Yeah, I've got my Namche t-shirt on here. Can't wait to head back to Nepal in October. I didn't get out there last year, and I haven't been out there the season this year, so it'll be my first time out to Nepal in 2 years. So I'm really looking forward to heading back. Although I am not going to Namche this year, I am going to Pokhara and going the other side for Annapurna base camp trek. So really looking forward to heading back to Nepal. And then, like I said, I'm heading out to Tanzania in a few weeks' time to go and follow the migration on the in the Serengeti. So I've got a couple of nice trips to look forward to. Where have you been this summer? Anyone been away anywhere nice recently? If you're not going to ask me any questions, at least tell me where you've been. As I said, I have been to France and I've been to Spain, and I might even get a cheeky trip back to Gozo at the end of September as well. So I just don't want to lose this tan at the minute. I've worked hard for this tan over the summer. So final thing for me then, like I say, don't forget that our Awesome August runs out in a few days' time. Those discounts will be removed. So if you've got any trips in the pipeline that you want to be booking, now is the time to get them booked in. But if there are no other questions and no one wants to tell me where they've been this summer, I'm going to head off. Thank you ever so much for watching. Oh, there we are. Andrea's been to Scotland and Newcastle and heading on a med cruise in October. Well, enjoy your med cruise, Andrea, and hopefully the midgies weren't too bad for you when you were up in Scotland. But that's it from me. Thanks ever so much for watching today. Like I said, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. One of the team or I will come back and answer them anyway. And if you do need to speak to the office for anything, then you can always do that as well. But I'm going to leave you with our Tanzanian safari video, just so you can see what I'm going to be up to in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks very much. Goodbye.